So, Kenny, many thanks for joining us, especially on a bank holiday Monday. Another update from the EFL. Do you feel now that you have your clearest idea yet on how the season could pan out?
Yeah, it's edging towards a conclusion. I'm sure they have a lot to consider, and they don't want to be, changing things too many times. But it does seem to be getting closer anyway, which is good news. There's a real appetite to continue anyway, whether that's the usual format or whether that's into a playoff system and a conclusion that way. And so for us anyway, there's some optimism. There's something we can look forward and we can plan towards. We don't know the dates yet, but that is good news. It does seem like overall the situation is not necessarily getting better, but stabilising and levelling right around the country. So that's maybe optimistic for next year as well.
We've been without football since March now. Do you think a decision on the format could have been potentially reached earlier?
I think it's very easy to say from the outside. It's very, very easy as well to do somebody else's job for the EFL board. They have a lot to consider, and they have to make sure that when they do make their decisions, that they get it right. When you do look into it, you do see the many factors that are needed to consider, and most importantly as well, the different people that you have to consult and not necessarily make happy, but make sure they buy into. Because while every club is an individual business, we have my big thing is the structure and the pyramid. Obviously Portsmouth is my main concern, but we will need a pyramid system, some sides to play against and compete against. So I do think we have a duty to look after each other as well.
As you say, you've got something to work towards now. What does that work entail? How can you sort of set the wheels in motion?
Yeah, nothing much has changed for our players. It's still optional work and still individual work, the social distancing. It's interesting as well to see, how far the German league's gone now with they're completing their second weekend. The Premier League, the Championship seem to be moving towards phase 2 of their training, which is full contact, and in maybe small groups. And it'd be interesting when they release that for the EFL, if you like. But for us anyway, not a lot has changed. It has been, optional work. I'm very pleased though with the response from the players is very good. They've pushed themselves to keep fit, because we're into week 11 now, and it's okay for a short period of time, but deconditioning can happen very, very easily, and it can be a subconscious thing. So if in terms of being a footballer, you need to stay in touch, you need to keep driving your body, you need to keep right on top of things, you need to, if you can, physically improving as well. So making sure those challenges are met, and you can meet those challenges definitely, and work around the guidelines, and keep everybody safe is the important thing.
And I suppose for them, they must be sort of really itching to keep that routine going and get back as soon as possible.
Yeah, very much so. And if you're looking at the easing of the lockdown around the country, just what different industries are doing, just being out and around, engaging the mood, if you like, you can see where people are, and particularly with young people. I think they want to get moving, they want to get on with it generally anyway, and when it's safe to do so in terms of the football world, I'm sure we all will as well. But for the players anyway, they've risen to the challenge. Their communication, back to me, has been good, very good. And I do feel that as and when the season does start again, we'll be ready and in a good place, physically and mentally, to try to attack the games and see if we can complete the season to a conclusion that benefits us.
And would you be pleased with a playoff situation with 9 games being reduced to either 2 or 3?
I think it's being realistic of what's available, and also being ready for the different scenarios. Every club, and we're no different. We would want what suits us, and that's fine. But as well as that, in terms of our board of directors, we can vote and put our own case forward, but then there's a bigger picture, and there's a vote needed then in League One, and then the EFL board have to put that into the structure. So for us anyway, we have to make sure we're ready, and myself as the manager, be ready for whatever the eventualities are. Try to read it, try to see what's coming. If it happens to be a playoff, then it's a playoff. And I've firmly been in the camp of you are where you are when it finished. I think that's it. And it stopped for very good reason. And from there, you are where you are. That's I believe that. And so if it happens to be a playoff position, we could have caught the top two, but when it stopped, we should have been in the top two. So I'm happy to take the responsibility for where we are, and if it happens to be a playoff, fine. There's a greater good of the whole league and the competition, and where we all obviously then do and would prefer to keep on playing. But while it's everybody's, let's say, preferred option to try to keep playing and complete the season, it may not be possible.
You've never particularly struck me as somebody who's overly fussed by omens, but nevertheless, does it concern you at all that Pompey have never won a playoff game before?
Yeah, it just shows that if we keep persevering, we're going to. We've never been successful, or if you say going for that route, but if we keep going, then it will turn for us. It's if you've done every one, there's one coming the other way, Ollie. That's generally the problem. So no, those records are made to be broken, and we're capable of it. That's the main thing. And if it happens to be the playoffs, we're capable of winning them, and we'll be determined to do that.
And would you hope to have your full squad available should it be the playoffs?
Yeah, and at the moment we have all of the players have been working. As I said, there's been some optional work, and some players have preferred to stay at home and do their fitness work at home. They are players though that I trust, and players that are conscientious as well. And it is their choice 100% through this period. We all have choices, and that they have to choose. But yes, at the moment our squad is fit and hungry, and as you say, will be available.
For players who haven't necessarily played as big of a part as they would have liked, whether because of injury or otherwise, players like Bryn Morris, Paul Downing, is there now an opportunity for them to come back in?
Yeah, there is, and it does level these things out, because it's very much like going from one season to the next. Things can change. The players that were into the routine and the groove of being match fit, it's a leveler, and it's a leveler for those guys, and they have to see that. I was listening to Neville and Carragher this morning, where they're talking about if people don't want to play in Premier League clubs, maybe that's an opportunity for a younger player. It's a similar thing, as one door closes, another opens, and you have to be ready. If you get your opportunity through those circumstances, you have to be ready to take it, and it will be a leveler, because any manager would assess a pre-season period, and there will be one of those coming up for us by the looks of it, and choose the players in form, the fittest players, the ones that you perceive to be hungry, and that might not be the same players that necessarily finish the season.
There have been rumours on Christian Burgess, who's out of contract this summer. Is that just a case of people putting 2 and 2 together and making 5?
Christian is out of contract in the summer. We've had very good dialogue with him all the way along. We haven't, as you know, agreed a contract with him yet. There is a place for him though here. He knows that, and if he chooses to, and he's committed, he's certainly committed for this season, and it does look like there is going to be a conclusion to this season for us. But for next year anyway, he's going to wait and see and assess his options, and that's going to be the case now in the coming month or so. But the dialogue's been good. He knows he's wanted here, and after that we will respect his decision, whether it's to stay with us or whether it's to move on.
And in terms of decisions on players, is that the same for all of your out of contract players? I think you have 8 in total in the first team squad. Yeah,
there's 2 scenarios that we're looking at. One is very much the forefront of all of our minds is the conclusion of this season and being ready for whatever. That's number one. And then number 2, what next season looks like. Now, there isn't as much clarity as as an urgency with that as to exactly where we go in the future. There's talks of salary caps. The whole of the game, the whole of the EFL particularly may see this as an opportunity to, let's say, set some ground rules down, put salary caps with each division. Now, we're going to wait really until we see what that looks like. As each month goes by, you can see what the potential is for, let's say, future earnings, incomings for the club, season tickets. Do we get back to bringing crowds in around about the turn of the year? All of those things will impact exactly how next year looks, and quite frankly, then how many players that we can take on and build in the squad. We do feel though that we have the core of a very good squad, and at the moment they're the ones that we're just basing everything on. For additional players and players out of contract, unfortunately, we'll need a little bit more clarity in terms of what next season looks like. All of the clubs will be the same. And another big factor as well is if they leave the window open, as Mark has suggested, until, let's say, the end of January. That will give clubs a lot of flexibility, particularly in the loan market, or maybe swapping players. If there is a salary cap on, you may have to move players out just to get other ones in, and that would be a situation where then that might be something you need to be skilled at. So we need to see what next season looks in terms of the actual finances of it, the format of it, the structure of it, before we can commit to more than the players that we already have under contract.